And welcome back, Rugby fans, to Rugby411. As always, I'm your host. My name is Joshua Shibata. And it is finally time. The ninth season of Major League Rugby, the 2026 season, is just days away. It will be this weekend, Saturday, March 28th. You can watch it on ESPN Plus, our very first game of the season. A very unique week number one. I'll go into it in just a little bit of detail. But before I do that, I'm going to do what I always do, is my way too early season-ending predictions of where the teams are going to end at the end of the season. This is a fun video, usually at my expense, because so far I've been pretty off on where I predict where the teams are. I mean, I'm usually good at roughly the top teams, but everything else kind of just falls apart from there. There has been times in the past, which I will bring up later on, where I am completely off on a team that I think will end at the bottom, actually ends up being the Major League Rugby champions that season. So again, this is just a fun little exercise for myself. Maybe also give you a little chance to start thinking about where you think teams will end. And let me know in the comments below where you feel the teams are going to be. Again, it's not necessarily based on science. It's just really what I look at the rosters, because all the rosters have been revealed for all the six teams, which is awesome that every team has done it this season. So it really is about what teams have added and how little they have lost. And that really, in my opinion, has affected where I feel these teams have ended. So, without further ado, I'm going to actually start at the bottom here. And there has to be a last place team. And unfortunately, when you look at these rosters, the team that I feel will probably struggle the most is Old Glory DC, who I think will end up being sixth place in the season. Now, again, just to let you know, the way the playoffs are going to work this year, the top four teams go into the semifinals, and then the finals will be June 21st in SeatGeek Stadium in Chicago, which it's going to be the second time that we've had a championship game there in a row. And there might actually be the Chicago Hounds might be in the stadium to play for that title. We'll see in just a second. But again, looking at the rosters, I just feel Old Glory. First of all, they're losing some big pieces. Jameson Fauna Schultz and Ethan McVeigh, first of all, are two big pieces that have been with Old Glory DC for a long time, and they're actually jumping to their rivals, New England Free Jacks. They're also losing a guy like Jack Cascaro, who's going over to France, and then Tommaso Boni, who is also leaving to play back in Italy. They are getting some new players in there, but for every Max Shoemaker that's there, and Ben Bonasso, also 2023 first overall pick Rick Rose, former RFCLA player Semi Kunatani, who is by far very, very impressive. Jordan Jackson Hope from New Orleans. I don't think any of those additions really compare to the additions that other teams have made. And of course, you still have a very solid team that is coming back for Old Glory. Jason Ewok Emery, friend of the YouTube channel, is going to be there. Connor Buckley, Rob Harley, Perry Humphreys. But really, I feel out of all the teams, when you look at all the roster moves that they've made, Old Glory DC, I think, has been the least impressive, in my opinion. So then, I'm actually going to do a little bit of a switch here, too. I'm going to go through, I feel, might be the team that ends up at the top. And again, it's just, there are a group of teams that have really, really looked good when they reloaded and added to the roster. And I gotta say, as I kind of alluded to just a couple moments ago, I think out of all the rosters, the best team that have really improved on what they have are the Chicago Hounds. I really feel they will be the first place team at the end of the season. Now, granted, biggest thing, of course, is they're losing one of the star players of the league, not just on the Hounds, but in the league, Dylan the Butcher Fawcett, who has the most tries scored by any player in Major League Rugby history, 65. He just recently called it a day on his career. A marvelous career, by the way, Dylan Butcher Fawcett. And that's a huge loss, regardless. But if you look at the Chicago Hounds roster, they are bringing back a lot of star players despite losing the Butcher. Mac Jones, 9 tries scored last season. Mason Fleisch, 8 tries scored last season. So the firepower's still there. You have some hard hitters like Luke White, Charlie Abel coming back, Chris Hilsenbeck, who was the top point scorer for Chicago Hounds as the fullback, he's coming back. Michael Baska, who is a talented scrum half, he's coming back. And then who did they add to it? Nathan Hoyt, a very talented team captain from the Houston SaberCats, moving over. Also from the Houston SaberCats, Emmanuel Albert, former Rudy Schultz winner. Rudy Schultz Award is the Heisman Trophy Award for rugby players. Heisman Trophy in college football, but we have the Rudy Schultz Award in college rugby. Emmanuel Albert won that when he was in college. Ruben De Haas, a very talented scrum half, capped eagle, he is coming in on the team. Tavita Lopetti from the Seattle Seawolves, former Rookie of the Year in 2022, very talented, very dynamic winger. Reese Botha, another talented South American fly half, that's also coming to Chicago. So even though you're losing Dylan the Butcher Fawcett, I just feel the talent coming in. And again, people might forget, last season, Chicago barely lost in the semifinals in the opening round in the semifinals in Major League Rugby's playoff games last year to the New England Free Jacks by 1 point. And it was by a missed penalty goal that nobody saw, unfortunately. The feed ran out. The feed went out when that penalty goal was kicked. But they were literally 1 penalty goal away from beating the New England Free Jacks and possibly making their way into the championship game. So the majority of the team is coming back. They're adding some great players. I feel out of all the teams, Chicago has loaded the best. And I feel, plus then they're also going to have the motivation to be in their stadium to lift up the shield. One more motivation you have. Chicago Hounds, I believe, will be number 1. Now, number 2 and 3, that's going to be a toss-up. And, I've been going back and forth on it. And I got to say, I think in the end, and this might bite me in the butt again, like it's done a couple years ago, but I think Seattle is going to be your second best team because Seattle is another team that really, really reloaded. Again, you look at the roster, players that are coming back. Ritter Hadding is coming back. Ronald Herbst, Lauine Fudi is coming back. Diwal Kutse, Dan Creel, a lot of talented players. But then who's also joining the team? Look no further than David Kutser from the Houston SaberCats. One of the top fly halves in the leagues, one of the top point scorers in the league ever since he's been playing for Major League Rugby. He is now in Seattle. You team him up with his fellow former Houston SaberCat, Andre Warner, at scrum half. You got a dynamic battery of halves for the Seattle Seawolves. You also have Dorian Jones, a very talented fly half from New Orleans. Marno Renelingis, the War Machine, capped Eagle player. Ezekiel Lindenmuth, capped Eagle, formerly of Houston. Patty Ryan, a very, very capable Irish flanker, formerly of San Diego, a capped Eagle. Mark Bennett, that's probably the biggest get. Mark Bennett, Scottish international player, 8 years in Edinburgh with the Edinburgh rugby team. Again, very, very talented player. He is probably the biggest international get this season for Major League Rugby, and he's with Seattle. So Seattle, I feel, really, really reloaded well as well. Not as much as Chicago, I feel, but I wouldn't be surprised if these two flip-flop, and I wouldn't be surprised because, again, it was hard for me to decide between these two teams. But I think coming in third will be your reigning, defending, three-time Major League Rugby champions, the New England Free Jacks. Again, the biggest news with the Free Jacks is that they're losing Jason Potros. former MVP of Major League Rugby, top point scorer for the New England Free Jacks. Easily one of the reasons why New England has won not just one, not just two, but three shields with in Major League Rugby. He's gone, unfortunately, but replacing him, Joel Hodgson, another talented international player, your English player, has been playing for Utah. And honestly, last season, Utah was really, really good. It still surprises me and shocks me that both Utah and Houston folded because they both had phenomenal seasons. And Utah's season really was because of Joel Hodgson. Now, will Joel Hodgson be able to do the same thing with New England? Very capable, very possible. It's very possible that New England ends up destroying the league like they did last season and end up first place, end up finishing topped in the rankings. But again, Jason Pacho's leaving is a huge hit. They also are losing Paula Bellicana. We still don't know where the Fijian Flyer is going. And then Jed Melvin, two of New England's top try scorers from last season. Those are two big gaps that they're going to have to figure out where that firepower, where that try scoring is going to come from. Somebody on the roster is going to have to step up for it. But right now, I feel until we find out where that offensive firepower is going to come from, I still think Seattle and Chicago are just a foot ahead of New England. But again, with these three, would it be surprising to me if they kind of flip-flop around? Not really. I would be shocked if any of these three are in the bottom three by the end of the season. Even in that fourth place spot where they're fighting for that last playoff spot. Would definitely be shocked if they're in the bottom two. Now, the last two teams. Coincidentally, these two teams are also playing in the very first game of the 2026 Major League Rugby season, and that is your Anthem Rugby Carolina and your new, or kind of new, California Legion team. So, it's really a toss-up between these two teams. Both teams have, technically, the California Legion is kind of rebuilding. It's really... if we're going to be brutally honest, it's RCLA with a couple of Legion players and a couple of other players. And then Anthem Rugby has really rebuilt their team with a lot of capped Eagles players. Of course, I've been predicting for the last 2 years that Anthem Rugby would at least win one game. It would really be a shocker if they don't win at least 4 games this season. 10 of their 32 roster players are capped Eagles, and it is a lot of very young, yes, but a very young, talented group. Sam Gala, McKean Alakhan, Alex Mahan, Connor Mooneyham, former number 1 draft pick of the very first number 1 collegiate draft pick in Major League Rugby history. Junior Nafa, former 2024 Rookie of the Year. EJ Freeman, Seth Smith, the little Viking, is now on the team. Luke Carty, very talented capped Eagles fly half, is now on the team. And then people that aren't even capped Eagles technically, Malachi Isdale from the USA Sevens program, talented winger coming into the team from Seattle. And then Jordan Trainer, one of the big highlights of New Orleans last season, is now on the team. I think Anthem has really reloaded very well. But again, you look at the California Legion, they're returning a good majority of the former RFCLA team. Now, granted, RFCLA did have, some issues last season. One of the worst team giving up penalties and having yellow flags against them and red flags. They had the most flags out of any team last season, as well as they average giving up second to highest most points to any team in the league. So their defense was kind of faulty. The discipline was really, really hurtful. But there is a lot of firepower on this team. They score tries in bunches. And again, they're returning a lot of talented players. Christian Poy-Devin from San Diego Legion is joining the team. Jason Dom, the team captain. Ed Timpson, Ben Houston, both young, talented Australian players. Technically, Ed Timpson, English player. Ben Houston, Australian players. Both of them played in Australia. on the team from RCLA. They scored 8 tries each last season, high offensive power. Gonzalo Bertrano capped Argentinian scrum half. He is the glue. He is the engine, really, that runs this team. He loves playing fast. He loves playing offense. He drives the team. Billy Meeks can't go any further than the 2-time back of the year. Ryan James, a very talented capped Eagles player himself. And then you bring in some big guns like Joey Taufuete, former capped Eagle. Lance Williams, talented Utah, former USA Rugby Sevens player. And then Joe Mono, one of the top try scorers who can easily get the crown of most tries scored by any player now that Dylan the Butcher Foster retired. Joe Mono currently sitting 4th highest with 39. He can easily surpass Dylan the Butcher Fawcett with tries in his career. So a lot of firepower, a lot of talent with the California Legion team. So the way I see it is whichever team wins this upcoming game this Saturday, March 28th, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on ESPN Plus, they're going to be finishing in that last 4th place playoff spot. And I have to go as a homer because I am a California Legion fan based here in LA. So I'm going to go with the California Legion going 4th and Anthem Rugby just missing out on that playoff spot. But I guarantee they will win at least 4 games. You know, they're going to be competitors. They are going to be fighting for that spot. But I think the California Legion will just edge past them a little bit in this. So let's talk about the game this week. And by the way, this is how I feel it's going to end. Top 4 teams, like I say, go off to the playoffs. I really feel Chicago will be in the playoffs. In the championship game, they'll have the home pitch advantage. I just don't know if it's going to be Seattle, if it's going to be New England, if that's going to join them. That's going to be the tricky part of figuring out who it's going to be. But this is my my power rankings. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, let's go over again. First game of the season. A very, very interesting way to kick off the season. Only 1 game in week 1. Why is it like that? The rumor is possibly because of the venue, trying to get the venue at that time. Right now, California Legion are going to be playing in 5 different venues for all 5 home games. This is one of them at the Great Park in Irvine, California. 5,000 seats soccer stadium, home to the Orange County Soccer Club. If you are in the Southern California area, in Irvine specifically, highly recommend go out to see a game there because that pitch is beautiful. The view is gorgeous. You got a chance to see on a clear day, which it should be a clear day that day, the mountains and everything. It is a perfect venue for rugby. May not be as nice as Zion Park in Utah, at least the way it looks, but definitely worth seeing a game out there. So both California and Anthem will have the week off afterwards because in week 2 will be when the rest of the 4 teams play. And then it's basically going to be, sadly for those 4 other teams, Chicago, Seattle, New England, and Old Glory, it's just going to be 11 weeks straight of, 10 weeks straight of just rugby until you get to the playoffs and then the championship game. So theoretically, it's going to be a long season possibly for the 2 teams that end up in the championship game. 12 weeks straight of rugby. It's going to be a season of pure attrition and brutality. California and Anthem are going to be the only teams that technically will have a little bit of a bye in week 6, I believe. Week 2 they'll play, but week 6, I believe, in the middle, they'll actually have a bye. So they'll have slight advantage over the other teams, but that is how the season's going to be. Again, if you are in the California area, and this is specifically for you guys, the California Legion will be holding a SoCal Rugby Round Festival that day with California Legion Anthem playing at the Great Park in Irvine. I'm going to pop it up right here. This is the schedule. So again, if you're in the area, if you are a rugby family, that means if you have kids that play rugby, youth rugby, or you're just a family that's interested in rugby, this is the day for you, because not only will we have Major League Rugby, we'll also have Club Rugby, we will also have under 18 and under 16 youth rugby that entire day, starting at 11 a.m. So you have the opportunity. I believe one ticket will get you into all the games. You can go through, there'll be 3 pitches that are going to be taking part of this. The stadium will be, of course, holding the main games. Then you have pitch 14 and pitch 18, which aren't too far from where the main stadium is. But this is the schedule right here. Starting at 11 a.m. in the main stadium, you have the under 18 premier group, Belmont Shore, taking on the San Diego Mustangs. Belmont Shore, if you don't know, one of the top club rugby teams in the whole country, to be honest. And the San Diego Mustangs, a very strong club themselves from out of San Diego. And then let's move over to pitch 14. Pitch 14 at 11:30 a.m. You'll have the under 16 premier San Diego Mustangs taking on the Belmont Shore. And then following that, 1 p.m. under 18 Gold Group San Diego Mustangs take on Belmont Shore. Pitch 18 will have some club rugby action. So if you're not familiar, there is a lot of clubs here in Southern California that play rugby. And right now we are in the middle of the playoff for the SoCal Rugby Championship, the winner of which will represent SoCal in the Western Club Conference Championship, where that will be hosted in Henderson, and the winner there will then go into the club championship match that will be held, I believe, in Texas. So pitch 18 will have the Division II SoCal semifinal, one of them. I don't know which teams are going to be in that just yet, but that will be at 11:30. Then 1 p.m. we'll have one of the Division I SoCal semifinal team playoff matches. Ombach, Old Mission Beach Athletic Club. If you don't know, that's a team out of San Diego led by legendary rugby player and a very talented rapper, Alex Corbisiero. He is the head coach of that team and runs their youth program as well. Ombach will be taking on Eagle Rock. The winner of that will then face the winner going back to the championship stadium. 12:30 p.m. will be the other semifinal game between Belmont Shore and the San Diego Old Aztecs. And then, of course, the final of that one will be played next week to determine who will be the SoCal Division I champions. And then, of course, the big headliner, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, will be California Legion taking on Anthem, Carolina. So it's a whole day of rugby. Again, take the family with you. Tickets are still available. One ticket will get you to all those games. You can make it a whole day of watching some amazing, exciting rugby. Not only pro rugby, but youth rugby, club rugby. If you are a rugby player yourself, maybe you'll find a club that you like and get in part of that. And you can watch the pathway from youth to club to pro. It is awesome. I'm really, really excited about this event that's going on this Saturday. Again, Saturday, March 28th. If you can't make it to the game, or if you're not in SoCal, then obviously you can watch the Legion take on Anthem Rugby Carolina on ESPN+. So, who do I think will win that game? And well, you saw right here, it's obviously California, I think, will pull it off and end up making their way to that last final playoff spot. So that's pretty much it. So that is our power rankings. That's our first game preview. I can't believe this is now going to be the 9th season for Major League Rugby. Super, super excited. I know there's been a little bit of doom and gloom because there's only 6 teams this season, but I feel there's going to be a lot of exciting rugby throughout the season. Like I said, it's going to be a long slog for these 6 teams. Just straight rugby for 3 months as we work our way to the championship June 21st in Chicago. So again, I'm super excited. Let me know what you think of the power rankings. Let me know who you think will make it to the championship in the comments below. Thank you very much for checking out my video. I appreciate your support, and I'll see you on the pitch.